श्री गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sadhe Prabhu.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Srivas Vanacari. So I am going to put the verse on the screen and then we can start if you're ready.
Okay, yeah, ready.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Narayana namaskritya narashaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraya nashtaprayeshva badrisu nityam bhagavatam sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhakti bhavati naistiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, entitled Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwaraka. And the verse under discussion is verse 11, which is on the screen. Madhu Bhoja Dasarahat Ha Kunkurandaka Vrishnibir Atma Tulia Balai Guptam Naigai Bhogavatim Ivaha Madhu Bhoja Dasaraha Kunkurandaka Vrishnibir Atma Tulia Balai Guptam Naigai Bhogavatim Ivaha Madhu Bhoja Dasaraha Kukarandaka Vrishnibir Atmatulia Balai Guptam Nagai Bhogavatim Ivaha. Word for word translation. Madhu, Madhu, Bhoja, Bhoja, Dasaraha, Dasara, Ara, Ara, Kukra, Kukra, Andaka, Andaka, Vrishnibir, by the descendants of Vrishni. Atmatulia, as good as himself. Balai, by strength. Guptam, protected. Nagai, by the Nagas. Bhogavatim, the capital of Nagaloka. Eva, like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Slaesi Bhakti Vedanta Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni. Bhoja, Madhu, Dasara, Araha, Kukura, Andaka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. Purport. The Nagaloka planet is situated below the Earth planet. It is understood that the sun rays are hampered there. The darkness of the planet is, however, removed by the flashes of the jewels set on the heads of the Nagas, celestial serpents. And it is said that there are beautiful gardens, rivulets, etc., for the enjoyment of the Nagas. It is understood here also that the place is well protected by the inhabitants. So also, the city of Dwaraka was well protected by the descendants of Vrishni, who were as powerful as the Lord, insofar as he manifested his strength upon this earth. Omagyana Temeridasya Gyanam Gyanashalakaya Chakshuramli Tamyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurun Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunastam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Sya Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swaminiti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashritatmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirthareti Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvase Sasuyavadi Pasachari Satarini Vanchako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratrize Namaha Nityanando Vatutendur Vasuda Pranavala Baha Janavir Jivita Patir Krishna Prema Prada Prabhu Padmavati Sutta Srimam Sachidananda Purvajaha Bhavom Mata Jagat Ranta Rata Gora Kile Varaha Advaitam Harinadvaita Racharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Itam Shamanveta Acharya Shnaye Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanavaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanitraya Namaste Pankajagraye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Madirgatima Sarvaswa Padam Bhujo Radha Mandana Mohano Divya Vandaranya Kalpadrumada Srimaranagara Simhasanastao Sri Sri Radha Srila Govinda Devo Christiali Bisyamano Smarami Srimam Rasarasaram Vivam Sivata Tatastita Karasan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinata Sri Estunaha Tapta Kanta Gorangi Radhe Brindavanishwari Brishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarvam Kanti Samohini Paraha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Anvaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni. Bhoja, Madhu, Dasara, Ara, Kukura, and Dwaraka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. Mugam karotiva chalam, pangum lagayete green. Yat krepa tamahadvande, Sri Guru Jina Taranam. Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Akanda Mandalakaram, Virtayina Chara Charam, Tanpadam Dashitam Yena. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share a few points with the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis on the platform. But before I proceed to say anything or to execute the service of representing Srila Vyasadeva, we want to seek the blessings of the assembled devotees so that we can say something which may be beneficial for our own spiritual life and probably for the benefit of the audience, especially if my wonderful God brothers, sannyasi God brothers are on the platform. I seek their blessings so that I can say something meaningful. So in this verse, the city of Dwaraka is compared to the city of Bhogavati. And the comparison here is how much they are protected. Dwaraka is Krishna's abode. When Krishna left Mathura, in fact, when Kamsa was killed, then Kamsa's friends began to attack Mathura from all directions. And Krishna understood that there will be a lot of harassment for the residents of Mathura. So Krishna decided to create another city so that he can transfer all his parents, devotees, friends, and so on to that city where it is protected, well protected from any invaders. So being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that wasn't a difficult job for him to do. To build a city takes many years. To build a city takes so much resources. Cities don't develop overnight. They develop over a very long period of time. But because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it wasn't difficult for him to create a city. In fact, he ordered Vishwakarma, the topmost architect of the universe, to immediately create that city. And overnight, a beautiful city was created in the middle of the ocean, off the coast of Dwaraka. Because we had Bed Dwaraka and we have Maha Dwaraka. The Bed Dwaraka is said to be the where Krishna built his city. And the old Dwaraka is also there. If you visit Dwaraka, you first go to Dwaraka and then you go by boat. It takes over an hour riding on a boat to go to that bed Dwaraka, where Krishna established his kingdom. So Vishwakarma built this beautiful city in the middle of the ocean. So under Krishna's directions, Krishna directed Vishwakarma where he wanted his city built. And overnight, this beautiful city was established in the ocean. So with the city built in the ocean, there is a natural protection. For you to get to the city, you have to cross a water body, not just some small water body, but part of the ocean. So immediately that checked all the invaders, all the demonic friends of Kamsa. They could not go there. And so Krishna transferred all the devotees and their parents and friends and everybody, he transferred them to Dwaraka. Then, because they were well protected from any invaders, then Krishna faced the demons, faced Kamsa's friends. So besides that, Krishna also has very powerful personalities in Dwaraka. Aniruddha, Samba, Satyaki, even Balaram himself. Lord Balaram is the source of Anantasesha. Anantasesha is bearing all the universes on his head, just like a small mustard seed, which has no weight. And that shows the strength of Anantasesha. So Anantasesha has that strength to bear all the universes on his head. But his source is Balaram. So if Balaram is in Dwaraka, then what else is needed? So Balaram protected Dwaraka. Satyaki, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Samba, and many others, exceptional warriors who were as good as Krishna himself. They protected Dwaraka. So Dwaraka was impenetrable. It cannot be penetrated, impenetrable. Enemies could not penetrate Dwaraka because first of all, you have to cross the ocean, which is not possible. And even when you are able to cross the ocean to Dwaraka itself, it was protected by the strong hands of Balaram and then others. So Dwaraka was properly protected. And so we did not hear in the Shastra that anybody ever attacked Dwaraka. We never heard. And that is why when Krishna wanted to wind up his pastimes in this world, he had one problem. And that problem was how to dispose of the Yadus. Because the Yadus constituted a very, very powerful force. They were as good as Krishna. And there were many Yadus. So Krishna had to instigate some form of war, fratricidal war, a war within the family. And because they are all very powerful, very strong, they could eliminate each other. No other force outside of Dwaraka could handle the Yadus. So when Krishna was about to leave, his headache was actually how to dispose of this very powerful force, the Yadus. So the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas describe how Krishna called all the Dwarkavasis into his Sudharma assembly hall. And he entered the hearts of all the Dwarkavasis because he knew what he wanted to do. So Krishna delivered a very beautiful speech to the citizens of Dwaraka. In that beautiful hall, he spoke sweet words. He spoke charming words. He inspired everyone. And everyone was just meditating on Krishna. Everyone was just drinking the beauty of Krishna. Everyone was just absorbing Krishna into their heart because Krishna had a plan how to bring an end to the powerful force of the Yadus. Then, after Krishna had established his presence in the heart and minds of every citizen of Dwaraka, then he suggested they go to Prabhasha Kshetra to perform some sacrifices, some rituals, to worship the Brahmanas and offer some gifts, some charity to the Brahmanas. Under the order of Krishna, everybody went to Prabhasha Kshetra except the old men and the children and women. They were left in Dwaraka city. But all the men, they went to Prabhasha Kshetra. And after performing all the rituals and ceremonies and worshiping the Brahmanas and offering them very wonderful gifts, gold, cows, dresses, and so on, then they decided to enjoy themselves. And they began to drink that beverage, Mairava beverage, made from rice. And they got intoxicated by Krishna's plan. And they began to address themselves very, very roughly. And as a result, there was a war within the family. And that is how the Yadus, they eliminated themselves from the face of the earth because Krishna wanted to leave and he did not want to leave this very powerful force on earth because nobody is strong enough to handle this force called the Yadus. So the Dwaraka city was well protected, no two ways about it. But here, the Nagaloka, the capital of the Nagaloka, which is called Bhogavati, is compared. The protection in Bhogavati is compared to the protection of Dwaraka. So there's a little geography in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shukadeva Goswami describes the structure of the universe. The universe is described as Brahmanda. Brahmanda means it is round like a ball. And this universe, which is round like a ball, has a diameter of 500 million yojanas, which is equivalent to 4 billion miles. That's the diameter of the universe in which we find ourselves, which is considered to be the smallest of all the universes. And the planetary systems are arranged such that the higher planetary systems are for the devas, for the demigods. The middle planetary systems are for humans. And the lower planetary systems are for the demons and snakes, which behave like demons. Of course, we also have the hellish planets down there. So, Bhogavati is the capital of the Nagaloka, which is amongst the planets that are described as subterranean. Subterranean means they're below the Earth planet. So the hellish planets are there, but there are also some planets that are like heavenly planets, even though they're in the region of the hellish planets, but they have environments and atmospheres of heavens. So they are described as Bila Swaga. Bila Swaga. They are below the Earth planet because the heavenly planets are supposed to be above the Earth planet. Mahaloka, Tapaloka, Swaga, all are above the earthly planet. But this Bila Swaga, they are below the Earth planet. But it is said that there are wonderful opportunities there for sense gratification. It is actually said that the geography is like this. It says Rahu is 10,000 yojanas below the sun, and below the Rahu planet are the Yaksha Lokas, and below the Yaksha Lokas we have the earthly planet, and then below the earthly planet we have Atala, we have Vitala, we have Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. These are the lower planets, hellish planets. Demons and Rakshasas, they live in these planets. They live there with their wives and their children. And they engage in intense sense gratification, not fearing death. And in this region, as is mentioned here, they have no lights because the sun is far away from the lower planets. So the sun rays that do not get there. They are in total darkness. And so, by nature's arrangement, these snakes, they have hoods that are decorated with jewels. And these jewels, they emit great amounts of light. And because of these jewels, they are able to dissipate the darkness in their planets. And it is said that they have beautiful gardens, they have beautiful waterfalls, they have beautiful rivulets, and there they enjoy unlimitedly. And then it is said that the descendants of Kadru, the mother of serpents, if you remember the story of Vinata and Kadru, Vinata is the mother of birds, is the mother of Garuda, and Kadru is the mother of snakes. So it is said that the snakes are afraid of Garuda. And so they have to hide in a place where Garuda cannot see them. They have to be in a place which is not accessible to Garuda. So that is why they have gathered in a lower planetary system where there is no light. So in this way, they can hide from Garuda. And the chiefs among these are Kahaka, Tasaka, Susena, even Kalia is one of the chiefs of these snakes. They live in this planet, always fearful of Garuda. So their city, their place of residence is actually said to be on top. This Bhogavati is actually said to be on top of a mountain called Kunjara. When Hanuman was sent by the monkeys to try to locate Sita, he was also instructed to go to the nether regions, the lower planets, to try to see whether Sita was there. So it is said that Hanuman went to the planet of the snakes. He visited a place on this mountain called Kunjara. And Hanuman was surprised to see the beauty of that Bhogavati. It is said to have broad streets, broad avenues, beautifully decorated, but it was well fortified by very powerful serpents with very poisonous fangs. And the king of that city is Vashuki. So just as Dwaraka is protected by the powerful hands of Krishna and Balaram with the assistance of Satyaki, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Samba, and many others, Bhogavati is protected by Vashuki, the king of the Nagas, the king of the serpents. And he's assisted by Kahaka, Shushena, Tasaka, and many others. And so in this way, they don't allow any interference. They don't allow anyone to come there and disturb their sense gratification. So the comparison is that just as Dwaraka was protected by powerful personalities, similarly, Bhogavati was also protected by very powerful serpents. But the difference is, in Dwaraka, everything was centered around Krishna. But in Bhogavati, everything is centered around sense gratification. So, wherever the Lord is resident, wherever devotional service is executed, that is a very glorious place. In Dwaraka, the citizens, they see the Lord every day. Actually, it's described in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, how the residents of Dwaraka, they were always drinking the beauty of Krishna, and they were never satisfied with looking at Krishna's beauty. the citizens of Dwaraka, every day they would see the beautiful form of Krishna. And that was their sense gratification, enjoying the beautiful form of Krishna. So definitely, even though these two places are compared in terms of strength, in terms of protection, but one can understand that actually the city of Dwaraka is much more protected, better protected than the Bhogavati. Because in Bhogavati, even though there was no sense of death, even though they are not afraid of anything, but they were afraid of the time factor. They were afraid that the time factor of the Lord, the energy of the Lord, will cause their destruction. But the citizens of Dwaraka, they did not have anything to fear because the Lord is with them. The citizens of Dwaraka, they were always with Krishna all the time. And therefore, there was actually nothing for the Dwarkavasis to fear. There was nothing for them to fear. They were enjoying their life carefree. They were enjoying their life without any difficulty. But the Nagaloka, they are always afraid of Garuda, because Garuda feeds on snakes. Garuda does not spare snakes. And that was why Kaliya had to go and hide somewhere, because Garuda threatened him. So he has to go and hide, take shelter of Shobari Muni. And Shobari Muni warned Garuda that if you dare come here again, I will curse you. So because Garuda did not want to be cursed by Shobari Muni, he left Kaliya to stay in the lake of the Yamuna. So even though he was staying with Subari Muni, but he was always afraid that anytime he's careless, Garuda can pick him up and eat him. So similarly, even though their city is protected and nobody can go there, but they are always afraid that the time factor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will diminish their lives and will cause their death. So their situation is completely different from the situation in Dwaraka. The Dwarakavasis, they are always in blissful circumstances. And because they are engaged in Krishna consciousness, they are always blissful. Compared with Bhogavati, they are not engaged in Krishna consciousness. They are simply engaged in sense gratification. And it is said that anyone who is engaged in sense gratification, death will threaten that person. Once we are inclined to sense gratification, we will also remember death, because the two things go together. But once we are engaged in devotional service, then we don't even think of death. Therefore, Krishna advised everyone to think of him, to render service unto him. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that think of me, become my devotee, offer your obeisances unto me, worship me. So this is what the Dwarakavasis are doing. And so the sense of death does not even reflect in their minds. So that's the real protection. The real protection is to be free from death. The real protection is to be free from the thought of death. So long as one is afraid of death, how can one enjoy? The thought of death does not allow people to enjoy. But when one is free from thinking of death, one is absorbed in the blissful service of the Lord, one can actually relish devotional service. So comparatively, the city of Dwaraka is better protected than the city of Bhagavati, because Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was present in Dwaraka, and the citizens were rendering devotional service to Krishna. In fact, Dwaraka is not different from the spiritual world. It is said that the spiritual world is divided into Goloka, Vrindavan, Gokul, Dwaraka, Mathura, Navadvip, Mayapur, all the different aspects of the Lord. They have their different places to perform their pastimes. So the citizens of Dwaraka, they were more protected, both physically and spiritually. They were protected by the strong arms of Balaram, and they were protected by devotional service to the Lord. And therefore, we can say that the city of Dwaraka is better protected than the city of Bhagavati. It is also said that the Nagas, these are the angry, envious ones that are in this Bila Swaga. There are also divine serpents, as Krishna mentioned in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna saw the universal form, he also saw divine serpents, because Anantasesha is actually the chief of all serpents. So there are divine serpents and there are envious serpents. These envious serpents, they're always angry, they're always envious, and they're always ready to bite. But the divine serpents, they are engaged in the service of the Lord. Just as Anantasesha serves the Lord by becoming the bird of the Lord, by becoming the paraphernalia of the Lord. So there are also divine serpents that serve the Lord, unlike these angry ones who are in Nagaloka trying to bite or protect their kingdom. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that when Advaita Acharya was summoned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we all know Advaita Acharya was the person who cried out for Lord Chaitanya to appear in this world. Advaita Acharya considered himself unqualified to deal with the fallen condition of the people of Kali Yuga. So therefore, Advaita Acharya, he worshipped Telegram Shila with Tulsi and Ganga water, and cried out to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he one day sent the brother of Srivas Pandit, Ramai Pandit, to go to Shantipur and summon Advaita Acharya to Navadvip. So Ramai Pandit left Navadvip and went to Shantipur and informed Advaita Acharya that the Lord he has cried out for, that the Lord he has worshipped, the Lord he has summoned, has now appeared in Navadvip and was calling him to come. And so when Advaita Acharya heard this, he cried, he wept, he cried, he shed tears of love that his Lord has appeared and was going to fulfill his desire. So Advaita Acharya and his wife, they're prepared to go to Navadvip. And as instructed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said they should also come with worshipable items so that they can now worship him as he had done before. So Advaita Acharya, he and his wife, they got ready and they went with Ramai Pandit to Navadvip. When Advaita Acharya arrived in Navadvip, he fell flat on the ground and he paid a very long obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he woke up, he saw celestial snakes all offering obeisances to the Lord, Lord Gauranga. And Advaita Acharya was wondering, where from all these celestial snakes? But actually, Advaita Acharya is not different from Anantasesha. So because he's the source of Anantasesha, when he came to offer obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many divine serpents, they came to support him in offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is said that these celestial serpents, these divine serpents, they also render service to the Supreme Lord. So when Advaita Acharya was offering his obeisances, immediately all these divine serpents also came and they were also offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, it is said that Advaita Acharya also saw demigods, demigoddesses, and many other personalities all occupying the air. The whole air surrounding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's home was fully occupied by different varieties of living entities, all coming to offer obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the real protection. When we render service to Krishna, when we please Krishna, when we take shelter of Krishna, that is the real protection. It is said that Krishna Eka Sarvashraya Ek Krishna Dharma, that everyone should actually take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, because Krishna is the abode, he is the holy abode of all the living entities. Krishna is capable of giving every living entity shelter. Actually, it is said that in the belly of Mahavishnu, all the universes are found. All the universes take shelter in the belly of Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is just but a fraction of a portion of Krishna. So therefore, Krishna can provide shelter to all living entities. And actually, he's the shelter of both the material and spiritual worlds. He's the shelter of both the Nitya Siddhas and the Nitya Baddhas. He's the shelter of everything. So therefore, wherever Krishna is, that is the best place to be. That is where the highest protection is. So therefore, the residents of Dwaraka, they were better protected. The city of Dwaraka was better protected than the city of Bhogavati. And so this comparison is there just to show how the both cities are protected. Meshla Jiva Goswami says that actually Dwaraka is far superior in every respect, even including the protection, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there. And wherever the Supreme Personality of God is, that place is completely protected. So it is mentioned as Bhogavati, the capital of Naga, is protected by the Nagas. So was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni, Boja, Madhu, Dasaraha, Arha, Kukura, Andaka, etc., who were as strong as the Lord. So Dwaraka is not different from the spiritual world. Dwaraka is as opulent as the spiritual world. Dwaraka is a very blissful place like the spiritual world. In fact, it is said that the city of Dwaraka, Krishna made that city very special. He brought one Parijata flower from Indraloka, but he multiplied that single Parijata flower and filled the whole Dwaraka with Parijata flowers. And some other special flowers Krishna brought from different places. So the Dwaraka was so beautiful, it was so fragrant, it was so blissful that everyone in Dwaraka was feeling great happiness. So therefore, the real protection of Dwaraka is the Lord himself and the act of devotional service that the citizens of Dwaraka were engaged in and were blissfully relishing the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which was absent, completely absent from Bhogavati, because everyone there is absorbed in sense gratification, and as a result, they are afraid of the time factor, because the time factor will reduce their life, and eventually everything will be annihilated, because it's part of the material creation. But in the case of the Dwaraka verses, when even Krishna was leaving, Krishna arranged to transfer all of them back to the spiritual world. So that is the comparison between Bhogavati, the capital of the Nagas, and Dwaraka, the capital of Krishna. On this note, I will end here. We only have some few minutes left. And there are some comments or questions. They are welcome.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Srivas Vanacari. This was a very beautiful class. Actually, I made a mistake. I thought I was going to speak on this particular verse.
Okay.
So I read about it, and there were so many fascinating things, and many things I read, you just explained them much better. So I'm really happy that you spoke. Yes, so Ganga Prasad Prabhu, you may unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, obeisance at your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna, Ganga Prasad. Please bless this soul.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much for this oration.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
The central point of the discourse was protection.
Yeah.
And the strength of Dwaraka. The residents of Dwaraka were very responsible for protecting Dwaraka. My question is in line with the soldiers of Krishna. They were handed over to Duryodhana to fight during the battlefield of Kurukshetra. What segment of the defense strength of Dwaraka did they constitute? And if in this text he said that they were as powerful as Krishna, were they not destroyed during the battle of Kurukshetra, those soldiers that went to fight on Duryodhana's behalf?
Well, it is said that everybody who fought in that battle was destroyed, except the Pandavas. So the understanding is that Krishna arranged it perfectly. Actually, it is said that the activities of the Lord are like the movement of thunderbolt. it is said that it's very difficult for an ordinary man to trace the movement of thunderbolt in the sky. So the activities of the Lord is very difficult to understand. Krishna arranged, everything was under Krishna's master plan, because Krishna, he wanted to eventually wind up. So the amount of soldiers he gave to Duryodhana was a special division. It is not that Krishna gave away all his military. No. It is not that Krishna gave his personal associate to Duryodhana. No. Actually, in the city of Dwaraka, there were different categories of people. Some of the citizens were demigods and demigoddesses that were ordered by Krishna to take birth in the family of the Yadus, the Vrishnis, Bhojas, and so on. So they are demigods who came to assist the Lord in his pastimes. So many of the soldiers that were sent to support Duryodhana were in this category of demigods. Even it is said that those who were killed in the Prabhasha Kshetra, many of them were also demigods. It is explained that those who are personal associates of Krishna, Krishna arranged to take them back when he was going. But those who had to go back to their various planetary systems to continue with their work, they were given away as part of the army to Duryodhana, and the remainder were actually killed in the fratricidal war in Prabhasha Kshetra. In fact, it is said that at the end of the war, 560 people were killed in Prabhasha. That means the residents, the men in Dwaraka who participated in that war, that family war, 560 million people were killed in that war. So we can see that Dwaraka was really populated, heavily populated, 560 million people. And a certain amount of people in the army were already given out to Duryodhana. So if you add that to this, then you will see a very huge figure in Dwaraka. So those were demigods that Krishna arranged for them to be dispatched back to their places as soon as possible. And those who were the associates of Krishna, they remained with Krishna. And when Krishna was leaving, he arranged for them to go back home, back to Godhead. But those who are demigods, they were sent back to the heavenly planet after they have assisted the Lord in discharging his pastime, in performing his pastimes on the earthly planet. I don't know whether I've tried to answer your question.
Thank you very much. The other part to the question was the beginning of the lecture when you said Krishna made Vishwakarma to build Dwaraka and he vacated the citizens of Mathura to Dwaraka. Does not imply that Mathura became empty and everybody relocated to Dwaraka.
No, it's not everybody Krishna took to Dwaraka. The followers of Kamsa, they did not go with Krishna. They were inviting. They were trying to reinforce themselves by inviting the friends of Kamsa to attack Mathura, because Krishna had killed Kamsa. So they were trying to link up demonic forces to attack Krishna in Mathura, and Krishna understood that. So he created that city and transferred his parents, his devotees, his friends, and all those who were favorable, he transferred them there. The rest of the followers of Kamsa, they still remain in Mathura. And so Mathura wasn't empty. Mathura still has some people, but they were not followers of Krishna.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Anyone else with any question? Actually, Ganga Prasad Prabhu just asked one of my questions.
I see.
And
Hare
you just
Krishna.
answered. Okay. Okay, Salika Prabhu, you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, please. First, I want to offer my respectful obeisances to His Grace, Srivas Vanacari, for this wonderful class.
Nice to see you.
Actually, I never knew until today that you are one of the Gopas in Krishna's Leela. Only today I'm coming to realize this reality. And for that, I offer my repeated obeisances at your feet.
You are going a different direction. I don't know about that. It is your, which time is it coming from?
No, it can only take one who has been there to be able to narrate. I was drinking. I completely left this environment entirely, hearing those narrations of those different activities, how they were happening. And it is so wonderful. Thank you so much for this rendition. It shows the depth of realization. No ordinary person can do that. It's not everyone that can do this. Thank you very much. It is very purifying.
Mercy, Prabhupada's mercy.
Thank you so much. I just want to appreciate. I just really want to appreciate. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Any
Well,
comments or questions?
yeah, Prabhuji, see, I always say I think I'm sick because I always have so many questions.
It's good.
And of course, Ganga
Prasad
Prasad asked one of my questions, which is I was also thinking that if Sri Krishna relocated all the people from Mathura, then Mathura became desolated, but you gave a very beautiful answer. Now, my other question is, Krishna says in Gita 8:16, I think Abrahma Bhuvalna Loka, indicating that from the highest planet to the lowest planet, there is repeated birth, death, old age, disease everywhere.
Yeah.
But as I read about this Nagaloka, it appears that the denizens there have no worry about old age because they do not actually grow old.
Yeah.
And even though it is the subterranean in the Netherlands, Shukadev Goswami and Narada Muni both indicated that it is imitational heaven.
Yeah, heaven.
And on our earth, when we say something is imitational, it means it's inferior. But here is the case that even though they are considered imitational heavens, they are much finer and better than the Swarga Lokas. You know, so I would want you to explain when Krishna says from the highest planet, from Brahmaloka, all the way to these lowest planetary systems, where repeated birth, death, old age, disease take place. But here is Nagaloka, where there is no old age. And in fact, it's even said that sometimes they say they do not sweat, but they say they do not sweat because their perspiration does not produce any bad odor, but they perspire.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful. So I would like you to throw more light on this. Thank you.
Thank you. The fact is that this disease, old age, and death is a principle. It is a law of the material creation, that wherever you find yourself, you will be affected by it. It's just a question of question of how obvious it affects you. Even in a heavenly planet, old age is there, but it comes very, very gradually. It comes after thousands of years. So therefore, one may conclude that there is no old age in heaven, but there is old age. In the heavens, you hardly hear of people are sick, but there is sickness. And in the heavens, you hardly hear of people dying. Nevertheless, there is death. So just as in the heavenly planet, these things seem to be absent. They seem to be absent. It's not that they are absent. Their effect is very, very gradual. But nevertheless, they are also faced with birth, they are faced with old age, they are faced with death. So similarly, in Bila Swaga, the citizens, they are also free from these things: disease, old age, and death to some degree. It's not that they are completely free from it. Krishna cannot speak something which is not true. So when Krishna says that from the topmost planet of Brahma to the lowest planet in the universe, they are all places of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age, it is a fact. Even Lord Brahma is living for 311 trillion years, 40 billion years. So it's difficult to see how Lord Brahma will grow old. It's difficult to hear of Brahma complaining of headache or some pain. It's difficult for Brahma to go through this rampant birth that we are going through every 100 years, every 80 years, every 60 years, we're taking birth. No. So one may conclude that these things are not there, but actually they're there. So even though it is mentioned that in Bila Swaga, they are free from death, it is that death is delayed, because everyone in this universe will go. They may be described as free from disease, but actually disease is there. It is just delayed. They are free from old age, but old age is there. It is just delayed. So that is the nature of these planets. Heavenly planet, Bila Swaga, these very things are there, but they come at a very, very gradual pace that is almost like absent, but it is there. They may take a long, long time to grow old, but they will grow old at the end. They may take a long, long time to die, but they will die at the end, because everyone within the material creation has to die. So it is there, but it is not so gross like we here in the earthly planet. Now we see death everywhere, we see sickness everywhere, we see old people everywhere. In fact, in the heavenly planet, you hardly see sick people, you hardly see old people, you hardly see dead people. Similarly, in the Swaga Loka, in the Bil Swaga, you don't see sick, you don't see dead, you don't see these things. But they are there at the appropriate time. When their lifespan is over, they have to go. So it is there, but it is so gradual that it seems to be absent.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Otherwise, I had a question.
Gopinath seems to have a question.
Oh, okay. Shri Gopinath Prabhu, you may unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, Gopi.
Dandavar Pranam, all devotees.
Nanavar, happy to see you, Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj. My question is, yes, my question is, during the time of churning the ocean, the demigods and the demons, the demigods at one side and the demons at the other side.
Yeah.
And while churning the nectar, when the nectar came, the demigods took the nectar and they became immortal. So it means that there's no death for them. But according to what you are saying, everyone within the universe, as Krishna has said, will die. So, so that we can understand this portion clearly.
Yes. I remember somebody also asked me this question before, that if the demigods drank the nectar that was produced from the milk ocean that was churned by both parties, then what is the question of demigods dying?
Yes.
So, Srivas Goswami explains that when we say someone is immortal, it is what is the word? It is what is the word? The immortality we talk about in this material world, immortality we talk about in this universe is what is the English word I'm finding? You see, it simply prolongs their lives. So the immortality here is that their lives are prolonged for a while.
Longevity.
Yes, their lives are increased unlimitedly. I mean, not unlimitedly, very much, but still they are subject to death. Even though they drank that nectar, they are still subject to death. And demigods will die. When annihilation strikes, everyone will die. So therefore, that amrita, that immortality that is being described is relative. And that's the word I'm trying to use. It's a relative situation. That because they live for such a long time, one may say they are immortal. But actually, everyone within this universe will have to succumb to the loss of death. So it is just that the nectar will increase their lives very much. But eventually, every demigod will have to go. So the immortality is relative. Because we are in a relative world, we are in a temporary situation, it simply means that their lifespans were increased by drinking that nectar. It's like even he said that there are some sumaras, there are some beverages in the heavenly planet that if you drink it, you become immortal. That is, that the immortality is relative. Even there are some herbs, some Jivani, there's some herbs, they say they're in the Himalayas, they're called some Jivani or something. If you eat that herb, if you drink that herb, you become immortal. It means that your lifespan would expand, your lifespan would increase beyond normal. And so in that circumstance, one is described as immortal. But actually you can only become immortal when you return to the spiritual world. Only those in the spiritual world, they have bodies, siddha swarups, siddha dehas, spiritual bodies, and they are immortal. So long as you have a material body, you cannot be immortal. Of course, if Krishna wants to convert that material body into a spiritual body, that is possible. But so long as we still have material bodies, we can drink all the samjivanis, we can drink all the nectars, we can drink whatever is there, but still we have to give up these bodies in order to transcend this world, in order to go to other locations or go back home, back to Godhead. So that is a relative situation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Kavi Karnapura.
Hare Krishna.
The young man with the heaviest name. You may ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Kavi Karnapura. Happy
Thank
to
you
see
very
you.
much.
Hare
Please accept my
Krishna.
all glories, Maharaj.
Jai.
In the process of Gopinath Prabhu's question, it triggers some very interesting points in my mind. So I say, let me
That's
ask you,
right.
Maharaj.
Okay, please.
So we could see that when the universe, they needed something wonderful. Even Lord Vishnu has to discuss with the demigods to make a truce with the demons.
The demons, yes.
Together with the demons.
Yes.
And I see that, I observe that in our movement organization, sometimes it's very difficult for us to work with some devotees who we see as non-devotees to move the movements forward. So how can we balance and and understand this point? If Lord Vishnu himself can give advice that the demons are very important in getting something wonderful out of this universe. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's a very interesting observation that in the churning of the milk ocean, so many wonderful things happen there. So many lessons are learned from there. Many lessons, actually. When you read that chapter, 8th canto, I can't remember which chapter is that, but it's many lessons one can learn from there. Many lessons. And one of these lessons is cooperation. Cooperation. Lord Vishnu highlighted that very much when he told the demigods that they should join hands with the demons. That even though they're enemies, they're always opposing them, but to get the nectar, you need a combined force. So they should enter into a truce, an agreement, whereby they can all benefit. And so the demigods, they accepting Krishna's instruction, the Lord's instruction, entered into a truce with the demons.
Sorry, Maharaj. Even though they were cheated at the end, they were not sought. So please, I want to put that down.
Yeah, I'm just going there. That's where I'm just going. So Krishna is very, very amazing personality. So he told the demigod they should enter into a truce with the demigod, with the demons, so that they can get the nectar. And so they obeyed Krishna. They accepted Krishna's instruction. And so they entered into the truce, and then they churned the ocean. And at the end, the demons, they really wanted to enjoy the nectar. So they snatched the pot of nectar and were running away with it. And Krishna, he has immediately figured out how to take away the nectar from the hands of the demons and give it to the demigod. So actually we can understand that the churning of the ocean and the production of the nectar was actually meant for the demigods. They were meant for the demigods. That was Vishnu's plan. But he wanted the demigods to use the demons to achieve their goal. So one has to be very strategic. It's a strategic planning. So the demons, they were also strategizing. They also understood that if they don't do something, they may not get the nectar. Because once Vishnu is involved, they are very doubtful. They're very doubtful. And that is why the snatch, as soon as the Vanacari brought out the kumbha of nectar, they snatched it and began to run with it. But nobody can beat Krishna. Krishna is smarter than everyone else. So immediately he said, okay, I understand. All right, I will get my nectar for my people. So he came as Mohini Murti and enticed their minds. And whatever he told them, they agreed. And so in this way, Lord Vishnu deceived the demons and gave the nectar to the demigods, because actually it was meant for them. He did not want the demons to drink the nectar, but he wanted to use the strategy. Hare Krishna, Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Srivas Maharaj.
They wanted to use some strategy to drink the nectar. Vishnu was alert, so he came as Mohini Murti and took away the nectar from them and distributed it. And so Rahu, he understood the plan, he understood the secret. So he went and hid between the sun and the moon and tried to drink the nectar, but his head was chopped off. The nectar did not go into his body, and so his head is alive, but the body. So that is the situation. So there are many lessons, many lessons in this pastime of churning the ocean, the milk ocean, to produce nectar. So I don't know whether I have touched upon your answer.
Maharaj, my main point was when we're looking into this universe, which apparently look as if belongs to the demons, because they want to inherit this place. All their plan is to enjoy this place. And when we look into the world also, we see that those who don't even believe in God, they are the ones who are making so much money and becoming the richest person in the world. And so somehow or the other, they have claimed this place. So if you really want to rule this place, you have to deny God, like Riraya Kashipa and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is that my point is that how can the devotees use the strategy of shunning the ocean in making use of the demon in getting the immortality or the best out of this world before we leave this world, or in using them to achieve our purpose in this world? How can we make the truce? Because sometimes we may be afraid of so much of Maya, demon, whatever, and we forget that they can be used to achieve our aim. What I'm saying exactly is, it doesn't mean that it has to be demon with arms. I'm talking about the people ordinarily that we call like Kamins or whatever, who don't really follow whatever we are doing. How can we put them in our plan in order to achieve our purpose of Krishna consciousness in this universe?
That's true. That is what is called strategical preaching. We have to strategize so that we can engage everyone in Krishna's service. Actually, that is the vision of the Madhyama Adhikari and the Uttama Adhikari. Their business is to engage everyone in Krishna's service. So we have to have a broad vision, how to include everybody. Whatever little they can do in the service of Krishna, we have to fund it, we have to encourage it, because any opportunity, any opportunity given to them, any facility of devotional service given to them is actually their asset. So it's our duty as devotees to strategize how to engage everyone in Krishna's service, how to get everyone to benefit from this Krishna consciousness. And that is the brain work we have to do as preachers, as leaders, and to engage everybody in Krishna's service. So through whatever means, radio, TV, Food for Life, public lectures, any way we can engage these people in Krishna's service, any way we can benedict them to get connected to Krishna's service, we have to do, because that's their real asset. And of course, if we are able to engage them, then they will support the preaching, then they will support everything we do, and that will allow us to actually progress and enjoy Krishna consciousness. For a devotee, we want to offer everything to Krishna first and accept it as Mahaprasad. So if we are able to encourage everybody to serve Krishna, to offer something to Krishna, it becomes prasad. And then the devotees can relish that prasad. So that is our business. That is our main occupation, how to engage everybody in the service of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada was very expert in that. Srila Prabhupada was so expert in engaging everybody in Krishna's service. And that is how he was able to expand this movement within 11 years. It is historic. It is mysterious that within 11 years, Srila Prabhupada established the ISKCON movement very firmly in the world before he disappeared. It is said that in normal organizations, many spiritual organizations, it took hundreds and thousands of years to establish. But within 11 years, Srila Prabhupada was able to establish this ISKCON movement, and so strongly that even though he has left, the movement continued to grow from strength to strength. And that is the strategy Srila Prabhupada used. And we should also follow in Srila Prabhupada's strategic planning so that we can bring more people to support this movement. And then once they support it, they will bring their resources. They will do whatever they can do. And that would be offered to Krishna. And then the remnants of that offering will become prasad for the devotees. And the devotees can actually relish that prasad. So it is our duty to plan how to use the demonic forces in the service of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that elucidation. It seems His Grace Ganga Prasad has one more question.
And Govinda Prabhu's hand is also up. Govinda.
Yeah, we'll go to him after Ganga Prasad Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
Prabhu.
Thank you very much. The whole concept is expanding and expanding, and it's like it will not end. In the course of your last answer, or in the course of the answer of the question, you said that actually the nectar was designed to be the benefit of the demigods.
Yeah.
And then when the question elucidates about forming truths, you see that in the formation of the 9 planetary system, Navagraha,
yeah,
the demigods were represented in number of 7. And
okay.
the two of them who tasted little of the nectar were beheaded, Rahu and Ketu.
And Ketu, yeah, Ketu, yeah.
They were incorporated into the 9 planetary system to create a balance.
Yeah.
So even though the nectar was meant for demigods, but the demigods, the demons were also incorporated, like you say, co-option in administration.
Yeah.
I don't know what you have to expatiate on that.
Well, Krishna is very wonderful. Somebody asked me a question. Why does Krishna create demons at all?
Oh,
I said Krishna did not create demons. We created them. I said Brahma created demons. Krishna didn't create demons. Brahma created demons. When Brahma was in the beginning of creation, Brahma was chanting different Vedic mantras to create different species. And he chanted some particular mantra that created demons. So it's Brahma who created demons. But he was inspired by Krishna. We cannot blame Brahma. Brahma was inspired by Krishna. It is said that after Brahma performed his 1,000 years of sacrifice of austerities, Krishna entered his heart, and then he empowered him. Krishna entered the heart of Brahma and empowered him with knowledge of the Vedas, and empowered him with knowledge of creation, empowered him with so many things. And based on that, Brahma was able to create. So even creating of demons, he was inspired. And the reason is that we always need a balance. Just as you mentioned, we always need a balance. If you have only good people in the world will not be so sweet. If you have only bad people in the world will not be so sweet. So therefore, Krishna created the demigods, and he created the demons so they can balance each other. When the demigods become too puffed up with their position, Krishna empowers the demons to be stronger than the demigods, and they go and remove them from their planets, make them servants, displace them from their places, and they become humble. So, and then when they take a humble position, then Krishna restores their position. We see the case of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj had occupied Indra's throne, and Indra became a house boy. All the demigods, they were all housemates. They had no place. So Aditi had to pray to Lord Upendra to appear to go and recover the heavenly planet for her sons. So the explanation is that when the demigods become too puffed up because of opulence, then the Lord empowers the demons to overthrow them and put them in their right place. And once the demigods become humble, then again, Krishna gives them back their place. So it's a question of balance because we're in a well of duality. And in a well of duality, we must always expect the two sides of the coin. Good people, bad people, demons, demigods, so that this well will be balanced. So, so the Ketu and Rahu, because they drank the nectar, they were kind of brought among the demigods. And so when we talk of the Navagraha, the 9 planets, 7 belongs to the demigods and 2 belongs to the demons, Ketu and Rahu. And so we see how Ketu and Rahu are disturbing the other 7 planets because they have to keep the balance. So this balance of nature is always there. Whether we like it or we don't like it, it's always there. It's part of the plan of the universe, part of the plan of the material creation, that there will always be some opposition to create a balance. And so that is how the material world is created. So what can we do? We have to accept it like that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much so much. I mean, it said in the Bible, Christ said that man shall not live by bread alone, but also by the word of God. And today, I would say I have lived that experience because now I haven't eaten the whole day, but I'm full.
Hare Krishna.
Govinda Prabhu.
Let's hear from Govinda Prabhu.
Yeah, you may unmute and ask your question, Govinda Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my respectful obeisances, Krishna devotees. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, glories to you.
Hare Krishna. Now, glory to you too.
Hare Krishna. My question is very simple.
Okay.
I just wanted a explanation of Nitya Bada and Nitya Siddha.
That's a big discussion. It's a simple question. There's a big discussion. Thakur gives a very elaborate explanation of these things. It says that there are 2 categories of Nitya Siddhas and 2 categories of Nitya Badas. The Nitya Siddhas, they have never come to the material world. Never. They have no experience of Maya. But then they are divided into 2. We have Aishwarya Gata Nitya Siddhas, and we have Madhurya Gata Nitya Siddhas. Aishwarya Gata Nitya Siddhas means the associates of Lord Narayan. They are confined to the Vaikuntha planets. They don't go to the Goloka Vrindavan. They are in the Vaikuntha planets. They are associates of Lord Narayan. and so they live in Vaikuntha. Those who are Madhurya Gata Nitya Siddhas, they are associates of Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur further went on to say that the Nitya Siddhas in Goloka Vrindavan actually emanate from Balaram. And the Nitya Siddhas, the Aishwara Gata Nitya Siddhas, they emanate from Sankarshan. Then he comes to the Nitya Badas. The Nitya Badas, they have entered the material creation from the spiritual world, and they have become conditioned, and they have been here for a very long time. So these Nitya Badas, they are also divided into two. One is called Brahma, there's another word, I can't remember, Brahma something Nitya Badas. Those living entities that have lived as Nitya Badas, but now they have gained freedom. They have gained freedom from Maya, and they return to the spiritual world. Yes, the material world. So they are categorized. They are Nitya Siddhas. The Aishwarya Gata Nitya Siddhas and the Madhurya Gata Nitya Siddhas. They have no experience of the material world. They've never come to the material world. But this Brahma, something Nitya Bada, they have been liberated. They have been liberated somehow by the mercy of Krishna, somehow by the association of devotees, and they have entered into the spiritual world. But they have experience of Maya. They have tasted Maya, and they know what Maya looks like. The other group, the Nitya Badas, there is also a name for them. They have never gone out of, they have remained in the material world for a very long, long time. And so it is sometimes said that they are produced by Mahavishnu. But actually, they are coming from the spiritual world. Of course, Mahavishnu is also coming from the spiritual world. Mahavishnu is coming from Sankarshan. Sankarshan is coming from Mula Sankarshan. The Mula Sankarshan is coming from Balaram, and Balaram is coming from Krishna. Ultimately, even if they are produced by Mahavishnu, but what is the source of Mahavishnu? Mahavishnu's source is Krishna. So therefore, they are also coming from Krishna. So the Nitya Badas are those well, they have associated with the material world for a very long time, and therefore they have forgotten the spiritual world, they have forgotten Krishna, they've forgotten everything about the spiritual world, and so they are confined to Mahavishnu's belly. When the annihilation takes place, they will come into Mahavishnu's belly. And when the creation is brought about, then again they're released into the material world. So the Nitya Badas, that is they are in Mahavishnu's belly during the annihilation, and they come back to the material world to live in the planetary system. And when annihilation comes, again they are withdrawn. But some of these Nitya Badas, somehow by Krishna's mercy, somehow by devotees' mercy, they escape Maya, and so they become liberated. And so they also enter into another category. They're liberated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So can we then say that those of us here in the material universe are Nitya Badas?
Yes. Many of us, maybe 99%, are Nitya Badas. Sometimes Krishna also sends his pure devotees down to help the Nitya Badas. Actually, it is said that because of the Nitya Badas material world, that is why Krishna keeps incarnating. Krishna keeps incarnating himself into the material world and sending his representatives and speaking the scripture just because of these Nityabadas. In fact, the whole material creation is for the benefit of the Nityabadas. So Krishna is so kind that even though we are running away from Krishna, Krishna is still embracing us. And in fact, the super soul is actually not different from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, which is not different from Mahavishnu. It is said that Mahavishnu is the super soul of the Mahatattva, and Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is the super soul of the universe. And Kshirodakashaya Vishnu is the super soul of the living entities. So the super soul follows the living entity throughout his material sojourn. So long as the living entity is in the material world, the super soul follows him to try to guide him, to try to counsel him, to try to talk him out of his material life and bring him back to the spiritual world. So it is said that Krishna has put into place so many facilities for us to end this Nitya Bada business. And we are so stubborn that we don't want to give up this Nitya Bada business. So the scriptures, the spiritual masters, the saintly people, all these are Krishna's arrangement. The avatars, these are all Krishna's arrangement to attract the living entity. Anugrahaya, what is the verse? That Krishna comes into the material world out of his great compassion. What is the verse? It's escaping me. Anugrahaya means mercy, out of compassion. Krishna comes into the material world to facilitate the devotees. Krishna comes into the material world out of his causeless mercy to facilitate the living entity, to give us the opportunity to return to the spiritual world. But somehow or the other, we are not taking advantage of that. Is anugrahaya bhaktanam. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham deham astitaha. That out of his causeless mercy, Krishna assumes the human form. He takes birth in a human society just to give the living entity the opportunity to come back home. So even though we are Nitya Badas, but Krishna wants to end this business of Nitya Bada, and that is why he is making all these arrangements. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us a holy name. He has come to facilitate our journey back to the spiritual world. He has come to actually end this business of Nitya Bada. And so it is left to us to take opportunity, to take advantage of all these blessings so that we can actually escape this material world.
My last
question.
Last question is the same in connection with the same thing.
Okay, Prabhu.
We partially understand that we are pure spiritual entities.
Yes, that is there.
But once we come in contact or we fall from the spiritual world down here, we have to accept a particular material body.
Yes.
Within the 8,400,000 species.
Yes.
And any of this body that we accept, there is birth, death, and in between, so many problems.
That's true.
Even though we are not the body, but we experience the pain when it happens to us, because we identify ourselves with the body.
Yes, yes.
So how do we justify the fact that Krishna is not partial? That some of his expansion or his creation, we know originally both Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha are all originally coming from Krishna.
Yes.
So why are we so unfortunate that we are Nitya Baddhas, and some are so fortunate they are Nitya Siddhas, they never fall. And we have to come down here and then go through all these miseries, and then Krishna again have to come sometimes himself and send his representatives and his avatars. And how do we justify the fact that Krishna is not actually partial?
Well, Krishna is not partial. That is a fact. Following Srila Prabhupada's words, Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna did not want us to come here. He did not want us to come. But we opted to come here. So Krishna's impartiality is demonstrated in the fact that he did not want us to come. He persuaded us not to come. But we wanted to experience the material world. And so Krishna, what can he do? He has given us the free will. Of course, generates another topic. I know when what is happening. It generates another topic. People say that why is it that the Nitya Siddhas never desire to come into the material world?
Yes, yes.
Other souls. I know where you are going.
I know where you're going.
So there are other debates. There actually is a big debate that is going on. That how is it that some living entities never desired to see the material world, and some living entities desired to see the material world. And as a result, even Krishna's persuasion could not stop them from coming. So, and that is where the philosophy divides. That is where some devotees feel or think or subscribe to the idea that the Nitya Baddhas never experienced the spiritual world, that they were created by Mahavishnu and released into the material world, and then if they follow the instructions of the avatars, the scriptures, the saintly people, they escape Mahavishnu's belly and go right into the spiritual world. But if they don't, again, they have to go back to Mahavishnu's belly. And then they support their argument with the verse from, I think, the 8th chapter, where Krishna says, Yad Gatva Nivartante. Yad Gatva Nivartante, where Krishna is describing his abode. Tad Paramam Dharma Mama. My abode is not, illuminated by electricity, by sun, by moon, by fire. And those who go there, they never come back to this world. So they use that verse, that if Krishna himself is saying that those who go to that spiritual world, they never come to this material world, then it means that we have never been to the spiritual world. Because if we were there, then we don't have to come back here, according to Krishna's statement. So they use that as a strong argument that the Nitya Baddhas, we were created by Mahavishnu. We were not created by Balaram. We are not created by Mula Shankarshan. We were created by Mahavishnu. And so that is why the Nitya Siddhas, they never desired to come into the material world. But the Nitya Baddhas, they are accustomed to the material world and they remain in the material world. So because of this topic, we have two philosophies today in ISKCON. There are some devotees who support this creation of souls by Mahavishnu, and some devotees, they say every soul comes from the spiritual world. But then when Krishna's words are quoted, that one who actually been to the spiritual world never comes in the material world, then there is an issue. So these two philosophies are there, but we always try to marry them by quoting Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna did not want us to come, but we opted to come. And it means that we were with Krishna, but somehow or the other, and that is that word, somehow or the other. That word, somehow or the other, explains. It explains this phenomenon. Somehow or the other, how we came here, what happened before we came here, somehow or the other, it happened. And Prabhupada says, we cannot understand it until we get back to the spiritual world. Right now, we can say this, we can say that, we can argue like this, we can argue like that, but it's difficult for us to understand because the living entity wasn't there at the beginning of creation. Because the living entity wasn't there at the beginning of creation, we cannot tell what happened. History doesn't have the facts. History is short of the creation. And so it's difficult for us to actually come up with the exact cause of our fall down from the spiritual world. But these are the two philosophies that we find in ISKCON. Some say that the Nitya Buddhas are created by Mahavishnu and they remain in the material world, and the Nitya Siddhas are created by Lord Balaram and they remain in the spiritual world. But actually Balaram and Mahavishnu, they are the same because Balaram is the source of Mahavishnu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so
Hare
much
Krishna.
for
Thank you,
such
thank you.
elaborate answer. Yeah.
Are you satisfied, Govinda Prabhu? Are you okay?
I think so.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I know we've gone too far into the time, but please save my head because my precious wife, Loka, is asking a question from the chat room.
Okay, please.
So I'll read her question. It says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. I was thinking about this question for the past 1 month. My question is, the butter that Mother Yashoda gave to Krishna, is it not the same butter we have? So what is behind the butter which makes Krishna like it so much?
Interesting. Interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mother Loka.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. And this question would end the class. Very sweet.
Thank you.
Actually, the acharyas have explained that the butter that the gopis used to produce in their homes, that Krishna used to go to steal, was very excellent butter, super excellent butter. And Krishna was attracted to that butter. Actually, it is said that Krishna was attracted to their devotion. Krishna was attracted to their affection. He was attracted to their bhava. He was attracted. And the butter simply represents that devotion, that bhava, that affection. So, because the elderly gopis were coming to Yashoda complaining that his naughty boy is coming and stealing their butter and creating problems in their homes, Mother Yashoda decided to produce butter, first-class butter, super excellent butter that would outdo the other butters, and that will stop Krishna from going to steal. So it is said that he approached her husband, Nanda Maharaj, and said, my dear husband, I want the best of milk. So the best of milk has to be produced by the best of grasses. It's only when the cows eat very special grasses, they can produce very special milk. And when we get that special milk, then we can produce the best of butter. And when we are able to produce that best of butter and give to our son, Krishna, then he will stop stealing butter from people's homes. So Nanda Maharaj consulted with his brothers, and they said, okay, from that moment onwards, they should be taking the cows to Govardhan. Now, Govardhan produces the best of grasses. The grasses on Govardhan are actually said to be fragrant, very soft, very fragrant. And when the cows eat those grasses, they produce special milk. And when the milk is churned into butter, the butter is special. So Yashoda was absorbed in producing that butter when Krishna wanted to suck Yashoda's breast milk. And Yashoda, because his absorption was to serve Krishna with the best of butters, he had to drop Krishna on the ground and go after the butter. But Krishna wasn't satisfied. Krishna was not happy that Yashoda brushed him aside to go and take care of her butter, her special butter. And so Krishna said, all right, I will teach this woman a lesson. I will do something more naughtier. And he would come back and regret it. So he decided to go and share the butter to the monkeys and even broke the pot of butter. That Mother Yashoda has labored to gather the butter together for Krishna's pleasure. He broke it and distributed the butter to the monkeys. And when Mother Yashoda came and saw his special butter, the pot broken and all the butter on the ground, and the monkeys enjoying the butter, she felt very, very, very unhappy. And he understood it's Krishna, nobody else. Only Krishna can do this. So he decided that this boy, I have to do something to stop him from all this naughty behavior. It is because of you. I am laboring hard to make special butter for you, and now you have broken the whole pot and distributed the butter to the monkeys. I must tie this boy down. And that is what resulted in this Damodara Lila, that for the whole month, we are singing Krishna's glories, Damodara's glories. And it's so sweet to remember this Lila, how Krishna is being bound by his mother, Yashoda, and created this beautiful pastime that Satyavrata Muni, in a conversation with Narada Muni, describes in his 8 beautiful songs. So the butter that the cowhead women produce was very special, but the butter that Yashoda produced was more special because he did not want Krishna to go to the homes of the cowhead men and women to steal their butter anymore. He was tired of the complaints. Every day people were coming to complain that your boy is doing this, his boy is doing that. But actually, they were actually not complaining. It is said that Shilajima Goswami said they were not actually complaining. They were in ecstasy that Krishna was coming to their homes and eating their butter. They wanted Krishna to come and eat their butter. They prayed for it, and Krishna was fulfilling their desires. Just like the gopis. The gopis, they prayed to Katyayani that Krishna should become their husband. And so Krishna understood their minds. And that's why Krishna waited when they were bathing in the Yamuna with their clothes outside. He went and carried all their clothes and climbed a tree and said, one by one, you should come and collect your clothes. So it's a desire of the elderly gopis that Krishna should come to their homes and enjoy the butter. And so Krishna is doing that. So their complaint was actually fake. They were actually enjoying, they were relishing Krishna coming to their homes and stealing the butter. But just express their joy, they came and complained to Mother Yashoda. So that is what we are celebrating the whole of this month. Thank you very much, Mother Loka, for this question.
Thank you so much, Mara. That's nice.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So I think we'll end here.
So beautiful. Yes. I mean, I am powerless, but if I have anything to say, I wish that Krishna gives you hundreds of mouths and then also gives us thousands of ears so we can hear this amazing lila from Krishna. Thank you so much.
That is Rupa Goswami's prayer, actually.
Yeah, okay.
In the Lila's Tavern, Rupa Goswami is praying to Lord Chaitanya that let me have many bodies, in as many as possible. But in those bodies, let me have millions of tongues, and let those millions of tongues, let them chant your glories. And in those, let me have millions of ears, and let those millions of ears hear the glories. So this
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
So at this point, we will ask all the devotees to unmute, and then we chant to beg Hare Krishna to express our appreciation for His Grace Srivas Vanacari's class. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Kripa Sindhi Vacha, Patita
Itanam, Devyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Namaha. Srivas Maharaj ki
Jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Full of nectar.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we meet again tomorrow. Very well.